Welcome to the third installment of my 5-part series on music, Bangers with Anchor. I am joined once again with Jack Calicott and Cody Cox. And as we have learned from these past 2 episodes, they have fairly separate music tastes. However, there is a large overlap between these two fine people. And that would be the band Radiohead. So,
Absolutely.
what makes Radiohead so good in your opinions?
Cody, you want to take it?
Oh, yeah. Tom York? Whew. What can I say?
Is Tom York the lead singer?
Oh, yes, Tom York is the lead singer, you know.
It's crazy because unlike most bands, they have a guy who sings, they have a person who plays guitar, and a person who plays drums, right? Most bands, they don't have that, but Radiohead, they take it a step further and they actually have instruments to their songs.
So there's only one guy who sings and the rest are just strictly...
Yeah, it's actually
Yes.
just one guy.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Okay, so I like Radiohead because they embrace a wide, very, just so many different genres, right? They start off, they're just kind of like, their old name used to be like, I don't know, Welcome to Sunday or something like that. It was some pretty terrible name, but it was just them. They were just like a rock outfit, right? They didn't try that hard. They were just like a fun, cutesy little art rock project. It didn't take much to, they didn't try that hard. You know, they were pretty simple starting off, but then time goes on, they get more and more famous, they keep trying things, and then they release OK Computer, right? And that's like their main claim to fame. It's a pretty big deal. People universally really like that album. Then Tom York, as a result of all the touring because of that successful album, has a mental breakdown.
Ooh.
And then he listens to Aphex Twins in the woods alone for 3 months, and that's enough to make anyone write an album like Kid A. So that is kind of how that album came, and then it was known as the greatest left turn in all of music history, and it's kind of true because it's a complete tonal shift. I mean, it's still Radiohead, but it's completely
different.
They change up really hard.
OK
following that.
Computer is like this, it's not necessarily hard, but it's just like very gritty rock, you know. It has, their style is normally like sadder, and it still has that, but like it is still more heavy on the instruments, and then Kid A is just this beautiful symphony of just like high tones and just like falsetto singing, and it is just a complete left shot in the dark compared to OK Computer.
So is that what like draws you to Radiohead? Their switch from something to something new, or
Well,
did you still like them before they
I wouldn't
switched?
okay, so like the 3 albums that came out before, you can look at my list ahead of time and see those are the 3 that I have as the
Right.
bottom 3.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think they did anything that interesting or revolutionary at that point. So, I mean, I don't just like them because they switched. I mean, there's some good tracks. I like No Surprises a lot. I like Iron Lung a lot. I like Pablo Honey. I don't want to say Creep, but I do like Creep.
And those are like albums from before they
Those
switched?
are the 3 before the mental
Okay.
breakdown switch when Tom York jumped in a pool and almost electrocuted himself live in front of
Yep.
an audience of 200 people.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that's why. I mean, I just like how diverse they are, because even in Rainbows later on, between Kid A, I mean, they're just completely different records. They're always changing and doing new things and experimenting. And again, there are 5 of them, so they each bring something really unique to the table, and they're all really profoundly good at what they do. They each release their own music, like Johnny Greenwood. Philip Selway just released an album recently. They all know what they're doing, and they work together really well. That's why I like them, because they're each masterful in their own way. No one gets carried, no one carries. It's just a really good and you can tell because there's always new ideas coming from all 5 of them, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I mean, what really draws me into them is just how diverse they are. You can listen to one album and then be like, oh, so this is what they sound like. And then if you pick any of their other albums, it's just like, this is completely different. Like, their music is just so diverse. And to some people, that's not necessarily a good thing. But even so, it's not like diverse in a bad way. All of their albums are just good. Well, except for the Bends.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, they're diverse in like a... Yeah, it's like you said, they're diverse in a good way. It's not like they're diverse and they're trying new things and they're just completely falling flat every time. Every time they do something new, it's pretty much universally acclaimed, and people say... And again, you could argue that some of the people that like Radiohead are meat writers, but I mean, I would personally say that all their efforts have genuine... Even the things that I don't like, I can respect the different aspects, like the Bends.
Like, I know I dogged
Don't
on
love
the
it,
Bends.
but I mean, it's still good. I
Black
can still
Star,
respect everything.
There are some good... There are, like, some actual good songs in there.
So you mentioned, Jack, that each like the other individual members of the band have their own music. So like are they releasing other albums as they're releasing albums with Radiohead, or is
Well,
it like...
Sai, I know you're not familiar with music,
I'm
music
not.
basically, sometimes when multiple people get together, they also want to release their own work. This is common for almost every single band out there.
Yeah.
They can start new bands with other people. They can do their own solo things. Arctic Monkeys, Alex Turner is part of the Miracle Shadow Puppets or whatever it's called. I have what the last Shadow Puppets? Sorry, their song Miracle is a
Red Hot
song.
Chili Peppers, John Frusciante, their guitarist, he likes to release his own solo stuff. Flea, their bassist, he likes to release solo stuff. Anthony Kiedis, their lead singer, doesn't really do that much, but I mean, still, like the other members, they'll release their own music.
So did the other members, did they get famous right off of Radiohead, or like did they have stuff before and they like joined in?
They started when these five met. They were just Radiohead then
Okay.
and there,
So
and
they
that's
weren't
kind of
anything
where
else
they got
before.
their fame. Yeah, but I mean, it's not for lack of them being good on their own. It's just that they just happened to start being Radiohead. But now Tom York and Johnny Greenwood started The Smile, their own band with the drummer from I think Deerhoof.
I thought it was...
Deer Hunter. Sorry, Deer Hunter. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
the drummer from Deer Hunter. So. They just started their own thing. It's not because they like broke up or anything. It's just
Yeah.
that people go off if they're not doing anything with Radiohead. They want to keep making music. Most musicians don't stop creating.
It's just their passion. So
Yeah.
It's their passion. It's rooted within them.
So you guys obviously think very highly of this band,
Absolutely.
No. Yes.
and knowing that, is there a case that could be made for Radiohead of it being the greatest band of all time?
There's a case for Dance Monkey being the greatest song of all time. So
Not
there's a case
true.
to be made for every single thing ever. It's completely subjective again, like we talked in the last episode, or maybe it was the first episode.
Right.
I'm losing track because I'm.
It was the second episode.
Okay, the second episode, yeah. But yeah, I think there's definitely a case, a more valid case than there is to be made for Dance Monkey, I guess I'd say, Like, I mean, there's just a lot of merit to everything they do, and whether you're giving props to their diversity, Tom York's singing, any of their singing, their playing, I mean, like every single part of them, I feel like has some kind of merit to it. And I mean, I guess you could say that about every band, but I feel like Radiohead is different in that there is genuinely a lot of talent that goes into every album, a lot of passion. I mean, I guess it depends what you value in music. For me, I value passion, creativity, diversity. I mean, like genuine interest. You can tell they're trying to actually do something that isn't just made to be like selling album. Like, okay, so
Yeah.
for In Rainbows, they like started the name your own price system that's still used by things like Bandcamp today. They just is like, okay, you want to buy our album? How much do you want to buy it for? And that's it. Like you could just choose how much you wanted to spend. I think you had to do like upwards of $1, but you could pay
$1.
$500 if you wanted to listen to that album. It just they didn't care.
Yeah.
That's
Almost
how
like
they
donation kind of thing.
because they want to put it out in the world. It has nothing to do with profit. They're genuinely proud of what they do. I mean, of course, you want to make money so you can live and continue to make more,
Right.
but it does not seem profit oriented. So on that basis, I'd say they are more great than people who are just in it for the profit. But the greatest of all time, if it's just a personal question, then I mean, yeah, there's definitely a case for it. They're not mine, but they are definitely
Okay.
yeah, they're definitely.
I can definitely agree with that. I mean, if you look at them and look how long they've been in the game, they've been making music for upward of, like, 30 years?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just the fact that they still have thousands, if not millions, of listeners every single day, I mean, that itself that speaks to me. Things don't just be good and then die out like that. Like, if it's good, people are going to keep listening to it, and lo and behold, it's still alive today. So I think that, time tells all tales. So we've seen them withstand the tells of time, and I definitely think that that in turn allows us to make a case for that. Are they my favorite band? That is a tough one. That is genuinely a tough one. It is so hard for me to choose between that and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Both are bands.
What do you mean by that?
They both are bands. That's
Yeah.
all I was saying. They both have an R at the start of it. That was the joke.
All
there.
right.
Wow.
Just making sure you're not dogging on Red Hot Chili Peppers. We'll fist fight right now.
The letter R is
Let's
not a
not
dog.
do
It's not.
It's not.
Anyway, it's just Radiohead is one of my favorite, just in general.
Top
Red
two,
Hot
maybe?
Chili Peppers is one of my favorite in general. It is so... I love John Frusciante more than I love life itself, and his guitar style is exactly how I want mine to be. So, like, I'm kind of biased, but if you play any Radiohead in front of me, I will just instantly be like, yeah, they're my favorite. But if you play any Red Hot Chili Peppers, I'm just like, nah, never mind, they're my favorite. So it's a toss-up.
So it's in your top two for
Absolutely.
sure. So it's like kind of like a tie.
It is a tie. Yeah, no, it's definitely a tie. I could switch between them at any moment.
They're definitely top 10 for me.
Top 10. Oh,
Yeah.
Not quite to Cody standards.
I mean, Okay, not to be that guy, but I listen to more music than Cody does.
Right.
I
You're better than
consume
him.
more music.
Yeah.
That's not what that means. It just means that I have less
No,
of a
he
life
does.
than Cody. You could say that.
Oh,
Okay,
No, I
they
wouldn't.
frame it that way.
It's just Jack is a lot more open with trying to find music, and I'm kind of like a sheltered little baby.
That's not true.
So,
You're pretty open, I'd say.
I don't go around and like look for music. Like the reason I started listening to Radiohead was because you suggested it. I only listen to music that you suggest to me, and other
Yeah.
than that, I just listen to the same music over and over again because I like it.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, I want a quick throwback to our last episode in regards to this being a great and one of the good bands, you know,
The goat.
objectively good bands.
Yeah.
Does Radiohead have a like a brand or like
A label.
a label?
Who is their label? They're
It's not
definitely.
Diamond.
No, it's Diamond. Domino.
Sorry.
You're close, dude. We're suffering some brain rot today. I'm tired.
It's okay, but
We were
they
out
do
late.
have a label,
It's
right?
not Domino. That's what I meant
yeah,
to
no,
say.
They might be their own. They might be self-owned. I can't remember at all.
Because that was kind of a trend last
If
time.
they
with
have
all
one,
the
it
better
would definitely
ones.
be Warner Music, like Gorillaz. But I
Yeah.
don't think they have a label.
I don't remember.
Well, they obviously have one, but I don't know if they made it or if they're part of it. I think they might be part of Warner Music. That sounds more right as I say it.
So Warner Music is one of the good labels for sure.
Yeah.
No. Warner Music has copyrighted me on 5 different occasions for, granted, pirating music on SoundCloud, but I still, I mean,
It
they
seems
are
deserved,
they are
Jack.
the ops, dude, for real.
Amen. Well, so how many? What are they called?
Albums.
Albums.
Songs.
How many albums does?
Cypher
I'm a
gets
big
music.
music
Ooh.
person. Don't worry.
What are they called?
What are they called?
No, how many albums does Radiohead have?
It's upwards of like 15, isn't it?
So they have like 9 main ones, you know, that are like the big 9, like anime.
And those are the
It's
ones
the
you
Those
like.
are the ones that we like, that most people know, right? But they have demos, they have EPs. Sometimes they'll release singles of like
Mhm.
songs that are going to be on the album mixed with other things, or they'll just build up to an album with songs that aren't even going to be on the
Like-
album but are in the style of the album.
Kid Amnesiac in Rainbows 2.
Well,
stuff
yeah,
like
there's
that.
and then they do remix albums like Kid Amnesiac where they combine them and add some demos from that time, or OK Not OK Computer where they have demos from that time, or they'll have like In Rainbows Part 2, which actually is an album, but it's not super well known, but it is just In Rainbows 2, and it's pretty good. But
Somebody here spent $82.37 on an OK Not OK Computer vinyl set, and it wasn't Jack or Cy. I can tell you that much.
I did not know you did that.
That is.
I did that for Kid Amnesiac. I spent $130. Way to drop your phone.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
So getting back to their albums, what like out of the 9 main ones? Because I don't really know anything about albums you were talking about, right? Out of the main 9, not the 15, the main 9. How would you rank those if you had to?
The Benz is
So we
last.
should definitely Stop. We need to form an order first, dude.
Okay. Should we
So
wait?
we're gonna
we'll start
we're
with
gonna go
first-
Jack, then Cody,
Yeah.
alternating on our picks. Over
First,
and over
we
again.
should list off all of the 9 albums.
Yeah, let's do that.
Sure, and
first.
let's do that. Okay, so the first album they released was Pablo Honey. They followed up with the Benz. Then they did OK Computer. Tom York dies, comes back as Aphex Twin, releases Kid A. Amnesiac is Kid A Part 2, so that's 5.
Yeah.
Then Hail to the Thief happened. In Rainbows happened. The King of Limbs happened. And then A Moon-Shaped Pool happened.
A Moonshaped Pool was 2016, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was their newest one.
Wow.
2016 is their newest album.
Yeah, they don't really. They haven't met up in a while. Well, actually, they met up this year. That's.
Mhm.
I'm holding off. Hang on, that's for later. We'll talk about that
Okay.
later.
That's for later.
So if you had to rank them, we'll start with Jack, starting from number 9, the lowest one, to the highest one. What would your rankings be?
All right. So me and Cody both have the same pick, and it is the Benz.
The bands.
The Benz.
I respect the Benz. There is some good singing there. The instrumentation is pretty boring overall, if I'm going to be
Yeah.
brutally honest. The album cover's funny. The songs are just, some are pretty good. Iron Lung, Black
Just should have
Star.
had Pyramid Song on it.
Yeah, well, that's for later. We talk about that later. It was good. It's a it's a fine album. There's nothing I can point to being bad besides I think some of the instrumentation again is boring. It's not as grandiose as the stuff they build up to later,
Yeah.
and it just I don't know.
So
It
it's not
doesn't-
necessarily bad. It's just not as good
No,
as the
it's
other
not. But
ones.
you know,
It's
with
not
radio,
bad.
With most music, I can't be like, oh, that's terrible. But like, especially in the case of this, I really can't say anything here is terrible.
Like,
Nothing is like nothing like, oh God, what are they doing? It's just like, okay, that's what they're doing.
like if you were to knock off all of their other albums and just like go back to when they released the Bends, it would just be like, wow, this is amazing. It's just the fact that they have improved so much and made better music overall. Like, the Bends isn't inherently terrible, but compared to everything else on this list, I just cannot willingly put it above those.
Yeah, and the Benz was before they made their switch, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, Jack, what's your number 8 place?
All right, so I have been involved in numerous music forums and discussions over the internet. This opinion is the one that gives me the most death threats, and it is that OK Computer is their number 8 thing there. No one really agrees with that. Some people do, but no one else really does.
I can see
OK
it.
Computer, it's the same as the Benz for me. It is mostly boring. I don't want to say boring, but it's mostly bland to me. There are some songs I think are really interesting. I really like the bells and the slight off-keyness of No Surprises. I can tell they're trying something new and interesting there, and the lyrics are really pretty. OK Computer is not really a concept album that builds up to anything or has a really strong narrative. Tom York himself said that it's not supposed to mean anything or end up to anything. I think The Tourist is one of their best closers. It's a really, really good song, and it's really, really beautiful. It's like really good, but it's everything else besides No Surprises and The Tourist. I mean,
You gotta be. Come on, there's one more.
Airbag.
Come on.
I like Airbag.
There's
I like
one more on
Subterranean,
there.
Homesick, Alien. But I really don't care for Lucky or Climbing Up the Walls or any of the other. And they're fine songs. There's nothing wrong with them. But it just feels like more okay rock music. You know, it's like nothing mind-blowing.
You are getting a death threat from me.
Yeah, see, this is
Dude,
how it
I
goes.
cannot believe you said that about Climbing Up the Walls. Granted, I am a little biased because I hate shots, and the last time I got a vaccine, I was listening to that song on full blast.
There's some trauma there.
So, that song is like a savior, and also Paranoid Android is just,
Oh, I did forget about that one, but I also don't really like that song that much.
that's fair.
So, Cody, what is your number 8 spot?
Electioneering. That's a really good song from OK Computer. Sorry.
You can't go ahead and do that.
Thank you for bringing that up. Pablo Honey.
Pablo Honey.
It's just, it's their, I genuinely think that was really, like, where they started kind of picking traction up. Creep is just overall.
Is that in Pablo Honey?
Yes, that's in Pablo
That's
Honey.
the only
And
song I
you
know.
know that song.
That's the
yeah.
only song I know.
That just goes to show that, like, that song specifically is just what people know Radiohead for. And Tom York just doesn't like that. He stopped performing that song live because he just was sick of it.
Really?
And so it's just overall, I don't like the album as much. I don't like the feel of it, the flow, the style. It's not as great or grandiose to me as Jack would say. And I just I can't really get behind it. It's still great music. I love Creep. Some of the guitar parts on that album are just absolutely beautiful. But overall, it's just not better than anything I have above it.
No, I would have thought Creep would have been up there, you know?
Yeah.
Of course you would.
It's got a lot of views on YouTube, man.
You know nothing about Radiohead, man.
You know nothing. You
Shame me.
Excuse me.
So that's your number 8 pick.
Yes, absolutely. Still solid, though.
And for my reference, is that before or after their switch?
That is before.
Okay. So that's why he didn't like the song very much.
Oh, well, actually, we'll get into that later.
Okay,
But
we'll talk about
you will talk about that in number 3 when it's coming up.
Cool. All right, moving on.
Pablo Honey is my next
Number 7.
pick. And now we're past the things that I just think are like mid, but
Okay.
I don't even think it's mid. Okay, for Radiohead, it's mid. Now Pablo Honey, I like Pablo Honey. It is enjoyable, thoroughly enjoyable. It's not trying to be anything. That's maybe why I don't like OK Computer. It tries way too hard to be something that it just isn't. And I can say the same for the Bends. Pablo Honey, they're not trying to make some big statement about life or the industry or how depressing everything is. It's just a fun, cute little rock album. Creep is a foot thumping, knee slapping jamboree jam. I love Creep. Stop Whispering is a great song off that. That's Justice from the band. Whatever, you know. Okay, Pablo Honey is great. I like Pablo Honey a lot. I think it's pretty fun. I listen to it more so than the other two. I haven't heard it in a while, but it's good. I like that album. I think it gets a lot of hate because people just don't like Creep and they have to be like, I can't like the popular one. I have to like A Moon-Shaped Pool Part 3 that was hidden in demos in their records. Like people are trying too hard. But yeah, Pablo Honey is good. Even if people don't want to admit it, they are in denial.
But it's not better than everything else.
They're huffing that copium.
Copium. Okay. Is that all you have to say about that one, Jack?
I feel like I said a lot. What do you
You
mean?
did.
Is that all?
I'm just making sure, you know.
Okay.
I don't want to move on without your consent.
Yeah, okay, you have my consent.
All right, Cody.
Go as far as you want.
Number
What is your
7?
number 7?
Amnesiac.
Amnesiac.
You know, as Jack said earlier, it's like Kid A Part 2, and I feel like it's trying to be something that it's not in that sense. I just like, I like Kid A a lot. Kid A is one of the first Radiohead albums I actually even listened to, and one of the songs on that album is what got me into Radiohead. And Amnesiac, it just doesn't, I feel like it's trying to itch the same itch, but it's not as effective. So for that reason, I have to put it at number 7, even though it is still amazing. We are getting to the point where these albums are genuinely just actually amazing to me.
Okay.
But it's just like I have to nitpick little details to place them now. And the reason for putting it as number 7 is just because it tries to itch the same itch as Kid A, but it's just not as effective at it. Still beautiful and amazing in every way, shape, and form.
So it's fair to say that all these songs are good and all these albums are good. It's just,
yes.
You're just at the
Yes.
very minute details.
It is like very, very minuscule details, like forensic studied kind of stuff that is just like breaking this down for me right now.
All right. And I'm seeing, Jack, your number 6
Is Amnesiac.
is Amnesiac.
Now, Cody mentioned that it's trying to be something that's not. I disagree. They never marketed it as anything more than Kid A leftovers. That's all it is. It is just Kid A leftovers repackaged that were too good to leave out because, oh my God, some of those were too good to leave out. Crush, Sardines in a Tin Can. I'm not going to say the whole title. Pyramid Song, like Spinning Plates. It really is. Hunting Bears is kind of terrible, but I like it a lot.
I love Pyramid Song so much.
Pyramid Song.
Actually, I just actually love that song.
It's amazing. But Amnesiac, I mean, Cody mentioned it's really close at this point. We're just kind of nitpicking, It's not like there's anything that bad about it. That's not actually the case for me. We're still in the area where I'm like, okay, that's not that great, they can do better. And that's definitely for Amnesiac. It's pretty sloppy. Again, it is just kind of a random collection of songs. My problem with it is that I really don't feel like it's trying to be anything. It definitely does scratch the same itch as Kid A does, but not nearly as well or effectively. It's fine. I don't dislike Amnesiac, but if you put Amnesiac in front of me as the only album I could ever listen to ever, I would end my life.
You could not listen to Amnesiac.
Not every day, because the Pyramid Song's pretty sad.
And get you into that depressive feeling.
On God.
So, Cody, what is your number 6 spot?
Number 6. This one is going to make somebody here a little bit angry.
No, it won't.
A moon-shaped pool.
I'm angry.
I am a little bit biased with this album. It is good. It is great even. It is very beautiful. All of the sounds in it. It is just, it really does, it just feels like something you'd listen to on a rainy day. And I love that. But one of the songs has the exact same tone as my alarm. And it gives me PTSD, so I can't listen to it.
Is that the only reason?
That's not the only reason. It's just, that is like a back pocket card that I pull out when I'm feeling a certain way. The albums after this, if I'm just walking around, going to school, walking around the store, whatever, I can pull one of these out and be like, I want to listen to that right now. A Moonshaped Pool, I'd rather be at home. I want to be sitting in my chair, either kicking my feet up, relaxing, or maybe playing a game or watching a movie and just letting it play in the background.
It's a whole different feel.
It is a whole different feel to me, and I still love it. It's just, it is that specific album, unlike any of the others, takes a specific mood for me to be in to listen to it.
And it's not something you just listen to at any time, any of the day.
Yes.
Okay. And like you mentioned, none of these albums are bad,
No.
so Jack shouldn't be too mad.
I'm not mad at all. They can see me. I'm red in the face. Steam's coming in my ears.
So
I'm sorry,
go
Jack.
easy on Cody, Jack.
It's fine. I won't make my retort until I get to that. That's a while away.
That's okay. Moving on to number 5. I'm seeing some similarities here. What is your pick?
This one is much higher up for Cody, but my number 5 is Hail to the Thief.
I hate you.
Everything about Hail to the Thief is amazing. 2 + 2 = 5 is amazing. Myxomatosis is amazing. Sit Up, Stand Down is amazing. A Punch Up at a Wedding is amazing.
Calm
Wolf
down.
at the Door is amazing. Every song, there's not a bad song on that album, and I will go a step above that. I'll say every song on there is great. It is a great, great, great album, but it's a bit bloated. I'm not gonna lie. Some of I feel like it goes on too long. It's like, oh, you can never have too much of a good thing. Well, it depends on the kind of. It's it feels closer to Pablo Honey again. It's not building up to anything. It's not trying to leave a message or anything, and that docks points because I'm a super narrative-based lyric analyzer type guy.
Yeah.
So that kind of docks it for me. That doesn't mean it's bad. I like Hail to the Thief a lot. I think it's a really good album, and Sit Down, Stand Up is one of my top 90 songs of all time. I really, really, really like it. It's amazing. That album, God, that album's so good, actually. I'm rethinking.
You having some you're gonna
But then I see what's up
Thanks,
next, and I'm like, nah, never mind.
So it's more of there's no real structure or story to the album. It's just there's a lot of good songs. It's just you want more structure and meaning.
I know with what I've heard from Radiohead and music in general that they can do more. So that's yes.
Okay. How about you, Cody? What's number 5?
Number 5 is The King of Limbs. The instrumental on this album is just, it is very, very good to me. I would almost be willing to say that I should rethink this and put this a little bit higher.
You should.
But I see what's next, and I don't think I can, because I love the instrumental of all the ones up next more. It's the lyrics that fall through a little bit in this one for me, and it's not even that the lyrics are bad or anything. It just feels like there's a little bit lacking. And when I say little bit, I literally cannot stress how little it is. Like I said, I have to nitpick these. The lyrics don't hit as well for me, and that is only what. Other than that, even then, the lyrics are just like some of the songs. Some of the songs I will just sit down and just like I'll be gaming, and then I just have to put the game down and walk away.
Stop, take a little break.
I just have to take a break and listen to the songs. Other than that, I love that album so much. The instrumental is genuinely one of my favorites, and that's why it's at 5.
Oh, the instrumentals are. That's interesting. Jack said he's more of a lyric guy for understanding the lyrics, and you're more of an instrumental guy.
Yes, absolutely, with 100%.
No. Y'all.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Number 4, Jack.
In Rainbows! Okay, so In Rainbows, now we're in that
This one's gonna
territory
make
of
me
I'm
kill
albums.
getting
you.
excited.
This one is
These
making me kill you.
albums are, In Rainbows is just amazing. Now I'm at the Cody era where I can't nitpick any further. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, okay, actually, I kind of can. Some songs are a little boring to be like. Okay,
I gotta walk
some
away.
parts of All I Need is an amazing song, and when that piano comes through,
can't.
it is hard to not
You
just
can't.
absolutely lose everything in my mind and go insane. Every song on there, they push past any level that they had before. It is an emotional, eclectic climax that you do not get with the earlier albums. It is, well, okay, you kind of do with Hell to the Thief and Amnesiac, but they take it a step further. And Rainbows is just actually perfect. Weird Fishes is, I mean, I can point to so many songs in here that are just amazing.
Videotape.
Nude is my favorite. I mean, it is just an endless, non-stop banger fest with no break. But some sections of songs, like All I Need, I think the beginning is a little boring. I think they could have done a bit more. House of Cards, I love that song, but it is, again, a little bit more bland. I think they could have done more, but they're not trying to be more, so I can't really fault them for that. Reckoner is beautiful. I love Reckoner. I have no problems with that one. It's just a good album. It is good. I don't know any, but they have done better before.
Okay, I mean.
Well, yeah, technically before and after.
But if I were to point at any random song, it'd be good no matter. There's no like actual.
No,
bad
if you
song.
play In Rainbows In Rainbows is known to just be the one that everyone loves. Like
Okay.
you hear In Rainbows, and it's goated. Everybody has it in their top 5. It's just loved. It's hard not to like In Rainbows.
I would definitely say, Sai, you have heard In Rainbow songs
Have I?
before. If you've been around me and Jack a lot.
Yeah.
You've been in the cars with
cars,
us.
yeah,
you
yeah,
have
for
heard
sure.
In Rainbows before.
Have you ever watched Twilight?
I have not.
Never mind.
Not me.
Gotcha.
All right, Cody. What is your number 4?
See, I said that all of this is nitpicky, and I couldn't really choose, but this is really, really the point
It's getting
where
hard.
it was so difficult to make this decision, and I genuinely think that these could change. Well, yeah, I genuinely think that these could change, like at any moment. Kid A, 4, was a very, very hard choice for me. I love that album. Again, like I said, it's what I first listened to. That is the first album that I listened to that got me into Radiohead. And Everything in Its Right Place is one of my favorite songs ever created. Genuinely probably top 25.
Ooh.
Now, that number is going to seem insignificant when we get to In Rainbows, but that is one of my favorite songs that I've ever heard in my entire life, just genuinely, and I'm not that is being completely honest. I love that song so much, and it was such a good opener. And that, literally based on that alone, it gets number 4. Not to mention the rest of the
One song
album.
carries
The
it.
rest of the album, it just evolves. It just keeps going. It just keeps getting better. Everything is in its right place, as literally this first song says, and just for that reason, number 4.
So, is there anything at all you can mention that made you put it above your other 3 songs that are in front of it, or other 3 albums that are in front of it?
Like put it below.
Or yeah, put it below.
So, I'm not going to say the names of them, but my number 3, that is the album that really got me into Radiohead.
Okay.
Like, Kid A was the
Nostalgic
first
album.
album I listened to, And then I listened to that album once or twice, and then I was like, I should listen to some of their other music. Listen to number 3, and it just completely took me by storm. It was just like that. It just snapped, and I was like, this is one of the best bands I've ever listened to. I listened to that album on repeat for literally a year. Then
boy.
number 2, that's recently. I listened to that one last year,
Ooh.
very recently, and it was to the same effect. I was like, how have I never heard this? I don't think I could live without this album now. And it is genuinely one of the most beautiful albums I've ever listened to. Number 1, nothing matters compared to number 1.
We'll get to that here soon.
We'll get to that, though.
We'll get to that. All right, moving on to you, Jack. What is your number 3? Is that where we're at?
All right, yep, that is what we're at, and it is the King of Limbs. People hate this album. I
Ooh.
don't get why. Some people say the live version is better and it saved the album for them. I don't even agree with that much. I think the live version that it is great. But the King of Limbs, as it is completely different. The instrumentation style they tried is completely different. Everything about it is beautiful. Everything is layered and dense and chaotic and beautifully scripted. I don't even know how you think of some of the ideas they have on there. It is unbelievable. I'm going to speed run this top 3 real quick.
Yeah,
so
we're kind of running out of time.
Kind of running.
We'll
So the King of Limbs is amazing. We're getting into the point. Well, we're going to get to the point with number 1, but okay. Kid A is next. Beautiful. They're trying to do something new. They're trying. It's completely different. It's out of left field. It's inspired by Aphex Twin, who I love deeply more than Radiohead. So it's amazing. And then like Tree Fingers is number 5. It like completely interrupts the flow of everything. It doesn't have words. It's obviously they're trying to build up a vibe for the first time. They're trying to engage you in a listening experience that is much deeper and much more thought out than anything else they've ever done, I think. Then A Moonshaped Pool. It is a top 50
Here,
record.
hold on. Let's hold on for number 1 so we can compare you two, because I see something here, a pattern that's a little interesting. So let's go to Cody real quick. What are your 3
All right,
and
3.
and 2?
This one's going to make Jack a little angry. Okay, computer. You said you don't really like that one that much. That's what really got me into Radiohead, so it holds a special place in my heart. I am also a rock nerd. That is my style of music. That is what I grew up on because of my father. And that album, I would say it's probably one of their heaviest albums. And I'm a sucker for guitar, obviously, as known by past episodes.
Oh, yeah.
But that album, some of the guitar parts, Lucky, the end of Lucky, is to this day one of my favorite. And it's not really a solo, but just in general, one of my favorite licks I've ever heard in my entire life. Paranoid Android, one of the first songs I learned on guitar, and it is just unfathomable. I love playing that song. That is my warm-up. To this day, that is my warm-up on guitar. When I pick my guitar up, the first thing I do, Paranoid Android, just so I can get my fingers ready. Now, Hail to the Thief. That has the most beautiful instrumentation.
This is number 2.
Yeah. What did I say? Did I say 3? Oopsie.
No,
Okay,
you-
well, number 2, Hail to the Thief. Instrumentation. Most beautiful out of every single Radiohead album. I can't dispute that fact. I love it. I love the lyrics. It has some of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my entire life. And some of the instruments, and just like in general, the way it sounds. I could literally just lay in my bed motionless for hours and listen to this album on repeat because I just love the way it sounds so much. I don't even care about the lyrics. I literally do not care about the lyrics in this album. It's just the way the instrumentation is that completely sells this album to my soul. It
Music
just
for your
hits me like a
soul.
truck.
It's your soul music. All right, let's move on to Jack for your number 1. And you said it was a moon-shaped pool, right?
It is a Moonshaped Pool.
And this is where we see some divergence between you two.
Yeah, so Moonshaped Pool is top 50 record of all time. So in the essence of speedrunning this section, I'm not even going to go into it that much because we'd be here way too long. There is a narrative to follow. Love that. It's very dense. It is unlike any other narrative they've tried before. It's very real and sad and emotional. Tom really opens up here, and I respect and admire him a lot for that. Outside of just the lyrics, the production is unreal. It's unbeautiful. One of the things I read in a comment section, someone said that one of the songs sounded like sipping wine in an art museum, and I'm like, you're so right, dude. It just puts me at rest and makes me feel like a god at the same time. It is the most beautiful, well-refined, intricate, somber, gorgeous instrumentation I've ever heard, and Johnny Greenwood, of course, being the genius he is, conducts entire orchestral pieces to center around it, and some of the most passionate string sections that mimic Tom whimpering at the end of one of the albums. I mean, it is just perfect. It's amazing. I won't talk about it anymore, but it's unreal. It's easily their best for me.
And I believe Cody, he ranked this as number 6.
Yeah.
So that could cause some tension between
It's
us
'cause he's
here.
stupid.
That's
Okay, Jack, you don't want to get into this.
I kind of do.
You put my 2 and 1 at 4 and 5. Okay, die in a fight. Not to mention you put my 3 at 8. Okay, remove yourself.
Negligible.
Okay, number 1, In Rainbows.
Mid.
Okay.
I should crush his skull, guys.
You should, honestly.
Okay, it is. You know, everything I said about Hail to the Thief and everything I said about OK Computer combined. It is the perfect mix of like hard rock and beautiful melodies. Weird Fishes. You know how I talked about everything in its right place being top 25 songs? In Rainbows has some of the best songs I've ever heard. Weird Fishes, number 1.
Number 1
Number
song.
1.
Oh, boy.
For 4 years straight, that song has been my most listened to song on Spotify. For 4 years straight.
That is.
And
holy.
I don't even listen to Radiohead that much. Nah, that's a lie.
Cap.
But I listen to a lot of other artists. On top of that, I listen to a lot of rap. I listen to a lot of lighter pop. I listen to a lot of different rock. And still, even with that, because I'll just go on tangents where I listen to other music and I'll just completely forget Radiohead. Most recently, Red Hot Chili Peppers, John Frusciante. Before that, it was System of a Down. Before that, it was Pink Panthers. And all I did was listen to those. I would listen to those people. And still on top of all that, Weird Fishes is number 1 on Spotify every single year.
That
album,
says something for sure.
That album, it is the perfect cacophony of everything I've ever wanted in a music field.
It's heaven.
It is the album that I listened to after OK Computer, and it was just a complete upgrade. And it is just everything about it. The guitar playing, the singing, Jigsaw falling into play. Oh, my gosh.
Well, let's not get too far into
Oh,
this. But
gosh, dude. Everything
there's nothing in there you'd say that's like you have no complaints about at all.
There is not a single complaint I have about that album. It is genuinely perfect down to the last detail.
Well, that's a pretty comprehensive list from you both.
Yep.
I did learn a lot about all their new albums and all their old albums and everything. So let's move on. So, going back to the members of the band, who would you say the best and most influential, or in your opinion, just your favorite member is?
That's so hard.
So Ed has a really beautiful voice. He's the guy who does the in the back of Weird Fishes. You would think it's Tom York, wouldn't you? Because it sounds exactly like him, but it's actually Ed with his angel voice. So, but I think honestly, I might say Phil. You know, he's such a good percussionist, and he's really good. But I'd have to go with Johnny Greenwood because he's just a legendary guitarist who played there's a video of him playing the keyboard with the end of his guitar, just playing the guitar, riffing as hard as he can while also pressing the keys on a keyboard with his guitar. He's just a legend, and he composes beautifully. He did a thing with Hans Zimmer and Tom York together. Tom York sang, Johnny Greenwood composed with Hans Zimmer, who Interstellar guy, everything guy. It's Hans Zimmer. I mean, you know him.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, everyone knows him. So yeah, Johnny Greenwood takes the cake there.
You know, Tom York, I love him. I love his singing style. Normally, there are only a few people who I like because of their singing and their lyrical. That would be Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers. I love his style of singing, and he is just his singing in general. I really like it. Tom York is the other person whose singing I just really adore. Normally with bands, it's instrumental for me. I don't care about the voices. Mm-hmm. With Radiohead, that is completely different. I don't necessarily care about it more than the instruments, but without Tom York, there would just be no Radiohead. That being said, without Johnny Greenwood, no Radiohead either. And me being the guitar nerd I am, I just have to say him. If I did not have the Weird Fishes instrumental, I would be dead. I would actually be in a ditch somewhere with like my head cut off or something. I would not be able to cope without that.
I think Tom actually wrote the Weird Fishes riff, by the way.
Did he really?
Yeah. They're both guitarists, but Johnny's just better. So
he's just better at doing it.
Yeah.
So moving on, what do you think Radiohead has done to the music industry, and like what kind of impact has it had?
Changed it completely.
I think Radiohead has inspired. Well, obviously, it founded Bandcamp, and that has inspired billions of independent artists to make their own music, get profits. Bandcamp gives people profits. It has fostered a much more wholesome music community for artists and new beginners who aren't this huge, overwhelming label type deal or anything. It just encourages indie, small musicians to try their hand at making music. It has made a much more positive impact on the world than I think most people realize. And outside of that, they've also just influenced people. I mean, there are so many people who try to copy Radiohead and their level of versatility. You know, okay, so there's Muse, right? They've been...
Oh, my gosh.
I like Muse, but they are... I think it's almost inarguable that they are Radiohead copycats.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels verbatim. And I like their music. I own vinyl by them, but it feels almost too close to Radiohead to just be a coincidence or anything.
I listen
They're
to
both
Muse.
great musicians, but they
They
were
are-
if not for Radiohead, no Muse.
I actually thought that Muse came out before Radiohead because I listened to Muse before I listened to Radiohead because of my father. He likes Muse a lot. And when I first started listening to Radiohead, I was like, this is just Muse. And Jack was like, no, you can't say that. And I was just like, what do you mean? And he's like, Radiohead came out before that. I was like, no way, these are the precedents to one of my favorite rock bands right now.
Yeah, I
No
remember
way.
that conversation.
No
I
way.
don't know who came out first. Pretty sure it was Radiohead, but even if they didn't, it was obvious that with the newer things Radiohead is trying, they're still copying the waves that
yeah.
Radiohead is building.
I
And it's
would say
tasteless, but it is copying.
They're an inspiration to.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So moving on, Radiohead, from what I've heard, it is creep. Yeah, it's pretty depressing.
Yeah, it's
not
that's
the
great
most like
sadness.
happy song for sure. But what would you say their all over just saddest song is in all of their albums they've ever made?
True Love Waits, the end of the Moonshade Pool. Yeah, it's just practically. I don't even want to talk about it. It's just way too sad for me. There's no such thing as too sad for me. I love sad music, but I mean, it is just brutal. It's just Tom York begging his wife not to leave, even though she's already left. It's just the most crushing, quiet, somber. It doesn't build to some huge moment like other songs on that album do. It just is. It comes in peacefully, exits peacefully, never tries to be anything grandiose. It just is a cute, quiet, not cute at all. It's not cute. It is tiny little piano part. I should say tiny instead because it really is very simply constructed. It's just sad.
I would definitely agree with that. That one has made me cry, but Videotape on In Rainbows, it's not even lyrically that makes it sad. It's just the composition of it, everything. The way that Tom York sings, the style of his voice. It's just like the high-pitched singing, the keyboard, the piano playing. The first time I heard that song, I just broke down in tears. I was literally in flex in school, and I was just streaming tears down my face, and I'm like, dude, I can't listen to this anymore. I went home and I was like, I stopped listening to it. I went home and I listened to it again, and I just sat on my desk crying. That is so beautiful. I don't necessarily know if it would be sad, but it definitely made me.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Let's get right into the next question. So this one is kind of a doozy. It's a hypothetical. So if Radiohead were to somehow come around to Mitchell and have a little concert here,
Oh, God.
how much would you guys be willing to pay in cash to attend this concert?
So in my head, I'd say $1 billion, but in realistically, I'm trying to envision. I see the headline: Radiohead is coming to Mitchell, and tickets are $500. I'm dropping $500, no questions asked. I would go up to probably $2,000.
I was getting the college money, man.
If the headline said they are playing Weird Fish, I genuinely think if the headline said Weird Fishes, Radiohead in Mitchell, any amount of money, I would
get a second mortgage.
beg
Well,
my father.
I could just go to a tour in some other place, right? But I'd have to drive. So, but okay, let's say this is my only opportunity to ever see them, and it's in Mitchell. Then I'm paying $2,000.
Easily. Okay.
Realistically, I could do $1,500 easily.
1,500.
Now, granted, I don't have that kind of money, but I would do anything in my power to get that kind of money.
You would drop some bank.
I
yeah.
could.
Yeah, I'd kill
Realistically,
people.
though, I could easily drop $500.
If the
just
question
like
was,
that.
would you kill someone to attend the concert? That would
Yes,
also be
yes,
a yes.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
That's a little dangerous.
I don't care.
Dangerous.
I don't-
A little
Dude.
dangerous. I'm gonna get
I
FPS
need
and
my
money.
Radiohead fix. I'm like Caden with his cookies.
Oh gosh. Okay, so tying into our last episode, talking about popular music and whether or not it's good, would you say Radiohead's popular works and music is better than their lesser known works, or is it kind of they're all just good?
I mean, most of them are fairly popular, but I mean, if we're going, their most popular was pre-Kid A stuff. Usually,
Mhm.
that's mostly what gets the most streams.
If we're basing it off of
But,
that,
I
I'm
mean,
saying no.
if we're basing it off that, then I'd obviously say no. I mean, I guess it just kind of depends. Well, overall, I'd say no. I think their lesser known works are overall much better.
In Rainbows is still famous, but I genuinely think that pre-Kid A is really where they're like centered on.
Yeah.
And I love In Rainbows more than anything else, as previously stated. So no, my answer would be no.
Like, yeah, that's a good point. In Rainbows is like pretty huge. Most of their songs have like 200 million views on YouTube or something like that.
Jeez.
But that doesn't hinder it at all. I mean, it just happens to be really popular because it's amazing.
So it doesn't really matter. It's just arbitrary. All the
It
songs
is
are
arbitrary.
good.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about the last episode. Popularity is arbitrary, obviously. It doesn't make it better or worse. But, I mean, in the case of just general, I'd say no, they're lesser known. Or their lesser known's better.
Okay, I mean, that's a decent answer. I would not
Thanks.
agree because I've listened to Creep. It's a pretty good song.
You're number one creep.
I'm a number one Creep fan. All right, moving on. So you talked about, Jack, how they haven't released a song or an album since 2016,
Yup.
which is kind of, that's kind of
7 years.
scary, Right, to someone like you, such a big fan. Do you think they'll ever come back and make another album?
Well, as I mentioned at the start of this episode and said I'm not going to mention until now. Now is that time. The time is now, John Cena. Yeah, they just met back together, or they're planning to meet back together sometime in 2023. What does that mean? I mean, it's this year, so I don't know what that means. Most people are saying, oh, new music. So, yeah, I'm sure they will. They haven't formally announced a split up or anything. Tom York started his own band with Johnny Greenwood, and that thought, oh, maybe there's some beef with the rest of the members, and they don't like that. Tom York is he does not like talking about beef with the band members. There's just one interview where this one guy said, hey, can you answer the question? Because he was asking about their internal belief. And he said, no, it doesn't matter.
No.
I don't like you. And that's pretty
Yeah.
much what he said. It's a really, if you, on YouTube, it's called Extremely Awkward Radiohead Interview. I don't think it's awkward. It's just Tom denying answering anything like that. So clearly that means he likes them to a degree, or at least respects them. So I think they're going to continue to make music.
He doesn't want to push their issues public, which I think is just a respect thing.
That was from the 90s, though, so maybe he hates them now. I don't know.
What about you? You agree with that, Cody?
I mean, I'm biased. I want them to make new music.
You'd be happy.
Music. I'm praying. I would be so
That'd
thankful.
make your whole year.
That would genuinely make my whole
2023 best year.
I don't even care if it's them like banging on trash can lids and
Just
screaming.
anything.
I just need anything from them, as long as it has the Radiohead name on it.
I mean, yeah. I feel like I would listen to a new one. I'd join in.
I don't think you'd listen to
everybody.
anything.
Right.
Listen, if after this little
Listen to In
discussion we've
Rainbows.
had,
Listen to In Rainbows.
it's interesting for sure.
You should definitely start with, probably start with Creep.
Yeah, I can do that.
And then the Creep, a very 2020 remix.
Yeah, and then do live Creep in 2012.
And then listen to every performance of Creep ever and every cover ever made of
Yeah,
Creep.
yeah, yeah.
And then you've pretty much got their whole discography.
Here,
Yeah,
I'll give you one now. 'Cause I'm a creep.
I'm a creep.
It's a live performance right
Dude,
there.
I hate the YouTube
the
covers.
YouTube.
I hate the I hate
Covers
the
of
YouTube
Creep.
covers of Creep, where they're like playing ukulele and they have like tapestry in the background. Yes, and they're singing like that, dude. Oh, I hate those.
All right, let's not get into that. We don't want to make any beef.
My fault.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
To finish this little podcast up, we're gonna have one more hypothetical. This is I think I know the answer to this one. However, I might be surprised. So if Tom York came into this room right now and he's like, "Hey, Cody and Jack, come join my band," would you accept?
Oh,
Yes,
my
with a kiss
fuck.
on the mouth.
Oh.
But do you feel like your presence could bring down the band?
No,
See,
I mean,
listen.
no, dude, no. I mean, unless I'm just going there like with a knife and shanking them. I mean, at the worst, I give ideas that aren't the best in the world, but I can. More minds is always better. If you know what you're talking about in terms of music, you can't bring them down. I mean, you can just give new ideas like, hey, what if we tried this? And if they decide to go along with that idea, then that's everybody's decision, and you can't just blame one person for that. It's still. If I can't bring them down, at the worst, I can just add to them, and I think I could give good ideas.
That is not the case for me. I am such a horrible guitarist. I don't think I'd ever add anything to their band.
You don't have to be okay. You don't have to be talented, which you are. So stop being humble. You don't
Be
have to be
humble.
talented to offer good ideas. You can still think like a musician and offer good music ideas without really being like mind-blowing Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Buckley type guitarist.
I want to be Johnny Greenwood. Okay, so
I want to be the
very best.
Maybe they could teach you, Cody.
Oh
Make
my
you into a
gosh!
great
If I
musician.
go there and honestly, I'm accepting just for the fact that I could learn
the
from
chance,
Johnny.
you could be with them for a few weeks.
I
at
could
least.
just genuinely learn from
a few
him.
weeks I could sleep. You think Tom let me sleep in his bed?
Yeah, I think it's
I
pretty-
could have
that's
bunked bed
fair.
with Tom York.
I call top bunk.
I call
All right.
bottom, dude.
Well, thank you, Jack, and thank you, Cody, for being here. We have to finish up. We're out
Yeah,
of
no
time.
problem.
Thank you for talking to me about this.
No
I
problem.
feel well informed.
Great.
I feel great about Radiohead now.
You
Thank
should definitely listen to Radiohead now.
All right, Cody, let's sing
I might
Creep
try it.
together.
All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
'Cause I'm a
Banger is the anchor, and it's gonna make you thankful that you're here.